I was a victim when I was 13, a victim when I was 14, and a victim when I was 34.
Twyla Smansky has lived on the Fort Peck Reservation all her life.
To trust somebody, after sexual assault, it has been so difficult to work through that.
More than half of Native women will experience sexual violence in their lifetimes.
You talk to Native women who have lived their whole lives on a reservation, and they say, I can't think of any woman that I know who hasn't been victimized in this way.
Congress is considering updates to the Violence Against Women Act with new protections for Indigenous women.
We need to make sure that this bill is reauthorized so that Native women on reservations and across the country and in Native communities are protected.
But Newsy found the vast majority of tribes haven't been able to implement protections already available to them. The documentary, A Broken Trust, exposed severe underfunding for criminal justice on tribal lands.
The United States Commission on Civil Rights issued now 2 reports that both skewered the federal government, said the level of underfunding in Indian country is embarrassing and shameful. You are failing these people, and there's been no response to it.
In 2016, the federal government gave tribal courts less than 5% of the funding that was needed. And in places like the Fort Peck Reservation in northeast Montana, lack of funding means critical shortages in law enforcement staffing.
Being that we're so short-handed, it can be frustrating if we have to choose. Do we let our evidence go, or do we stay with our victim? If I leave, this evidence here could be destroyed. We should have 21 police officers. Right now, we're down 9 positions. That's not a lot of people.
In fact, in 2018, half of law enforcement agencies on tribal lands weren't properly staffed.
For violence against women, it's a horrifying piece of our history in this country that will not easily be untangled and solved.
In order to address some of these systemic issues impacting survivors, Representative Deb Haaland and Senator Elizabeth Warren plan to introduce a new bill early next year. They want to fully fund basic needs on tribal lands, like education and public safety, something the federal government acknowledges it's legally required to do, but hasn't.
Why are we different than every other person? Why don't we have the justice everybody else does?
To learn more about the systemic issues facing survivors on tribal lands, watch the Newsy documentary, A Broken Trust, on Amazon Fire and Roku.